Rafi's stomach hurt, so bad he wanted to cry. But crying never brought food. Crying never made the mean shop owners stop yelling. Crying just made you look weak, and weak kids got pushed around even more on these dusty streets. He was 8 years old, and he couldn't remember the last time his belly felt full. The morning sun was already burning hot, turning the city into an oven. Rafi walked barefoot down the cracked sidewalk, his feet tough as leather from years without shoes. His clothes were torn and dirty, hanging loose on his skinny body. Other people walked past him like he was invisible, like he was just another piece of trash blowing in the wind. That's what it felt like to be a street kid. Nobody saw you. Nobody cared. Rafi was heading toward the market, hoping to find some fruit that had fallen on the ground, when he heard it, a sound that made him freeze. Crying, but not just any crying. This was the sound of a baby, small, scared, and alone. Rafi looked around. The alley beside him was narrow and filled with shadows. Tall walls rose up on both sides, blocking out most of the light. Garbage bags were piled near a broken fence. The smell was terrible, like rotten food and old water. Most kids would have kept walking. Most people did. But something pulled at Rafi's heart. He knew what it felt like to be alone and scared. He knew what it felt like when nobody came to help. He turned into the alley. The crying got louder. Rafi's bare feet crunched on broken glass and pebbles as he walked deeper into the shadows. His heart pounded in his chest. What if it was a trap? What if someone was trying to trick him? Street kids had to be careful. Danger hid around every corner. But the crying didn't sound like a trick. It sounded real. It sounded desperate. Then he saw it. Behind a stack of old wooden boxes, half hidden by a dirty blue tarp, was a small wheelbarrow, the kind construction workers used to carry bricks and cement. But this wheelbarrow didn't have bricks in it. It had a baby. Rafi's mouth dropped open. The baby couldn't have been more than a year old. He was sitting up in a wheelbarrow, wearing fancy white clothes that were now covered in dust. His little face was red and wet with tears. His tiny hands reached up toward nothing, grasping at empty air. "No way," Rafi whispered. "Who would leave a baby here? In this dirty alley? Alone?" Rafi looked around quickly, his eyes searching the shadows. Was someone watching? Was this some kind of test? But the alley was empty. Just him and the crying baby. Rafi took a step closer. Then another. The baby's eyes found him, and for a moment, the crying stopped. The little boy stared at Rafi with big, confused eyes that seemed to ask, "Where's everyone? Why am I here?" Rafi knew that feeling too well. "Hey, little guy," Rafi said softly, crouching down beside the wheelbarrow. "It's okay. Don't be scared." The baby's bottom lip trembled. Then his face crumpled again, and he started crying harder, his little arms reaching toward Rafi. Without thinking, Rafi reached in and picked up the baby. The moment was strange and beautiful. The baby was heavier than Rafi expected, solid and warm. He smelled like baby powder and something sweet, so different from the garbage stink of the alley. The instant Rafi held him, the baby's crying softened into little hiccups. His tiny fingers grabbed onto Rafi's torn shirt and held on tight. Rafi felt something crack open inside his chest. This baby trusted him. This baby, who probably lived in a mansion with servants and soft beds and mountains of food, was holding on to a dirty street. Kid like Rafi was the safest thing in the world. "Where's your mama?" Rafi whispered, rocking the baby gently. "Where's your papa?" The baby just looked at him with those big, trusting eyes. Rafi's mind raced. He should find help. He should find a police officer or a shopkeeper or someone with a phone. But he also knew what would happen if he did that. They'd take the baby away from him. They'd ask him questions. They'd probably blame him somehow. Street kids always got blamed. They might even say he stole the baby. And what if the baby's family was looking for him? What if they were worried sick? But what if they weren't? What if someone had left this baby here on purpose? What if going to find adults put the baby in more danger? Rafi looked down at the little boy in his arms. The baby had stopped crying completely now. He was looking at Rafi's face with curiosity, one tiny hand reaching up to touch Rafi's cheek. That touch changed everything. In that moment, Rafi made a decision that would change both their lives forever. He couldn't just walk away. He couldn't leave this baby alone in a dirty alley where rats and mean people might hurt him. He couldn't trust that the right person would find him. No, Rafi would protect him, at least until he could figure out what to do. "Okay, little guy," Rafi said, his voice shaking just a bit. "I'm going to help you. I don't know how yet, but I promise I won't let anything bad happen to you." The baby smiled, actually smiled. His whole face lit up, and he made a happy sound, almost a laugh. Rafi felt his own smile breaking through, even though his stomach still hurt from hunger, even though he was scared, even though he had no idea what he was doing. He looked at the wheelbarrow. It was dirty, but it had wheels. He could push it. He could move the baby somewhere safer, somewhere away from this dark alley. Rafi carefully placed the baby back in the wheelbarrow, making sure he was sitting safely. The baby looked up at him and reached out his arms again, but Rafi shook his head. "Just for a little bit, okay? I'm right here." Rafi grabbed the handles of the wheelbarrow. They were rough and splintery, but he didn't care. He started pushing, carefully rolling the wheelbarrow toward the mouth of the alley. His heart hammered in his chest. Every instinct screamed that this was dangerous, that he was making a terrible mistake, that he'd get caught and blamed and punished. But the baby was looking at him with those trusting eyes, and Rafi wouldn't let him down. As they emerged from the shadows into the bright sunlight of the street, Rafi took a deep breath. Whatever happened next, he wasn't alone anymore, and neither was the baby. The street was crowded and loud. Cars honked. People shouted. Motorcycles zoomed past, leaving clouds of smoke in the air. The whole city seemed to buzz with noise and movement, and right in the middle of it all was Rafi, pushing a wheelbarrow with a baby inside. He must have looked crazy. At first, nobody noticed. People were too busy with their own lives, rushing to work, talking on phones, buying things from street vendors. Rafi kept his head down and pushed the wheelbarrow along the side of the road, trying to blend in. But you can't really blend in when you're a barefoot kid pushing a baby in a wheelbarrow. "Hey, kid, what are you doing?" Rafi's heart jumped. He looked up and saw a woman in a bright yellow dress staring at him. Her eyes were wide with shock. "Is that a baby?" she asked, taking a step closer. Rafi didn't answer. He just pushed faster, weaving around her and heading down the sidewalk. His hands gripped the wheelbarrow handles, so tight his knuckles turned white. "Somebody stop that boy!" the woman yelled behind him. Panic shot through Rafi like lightning. He started running, the wheelbarrow bumping and rattling over the uneven concrete. The baby bounced inside, and for a scary second, Rafi thought he might fall out. But the little boy just laughed, actually laughed like this was the most fun game in the world. That laugh did something to Rafi. It melted some of the fear. It reminded him why he was doing this. He turned down a side street, then another, zigzagging to the city like a rabbit running from a fox. His legs burned, his empty stomach cramped, but he didn't stop. Finally, he ducked into a small park, just a patch of brown grass with a few scraggly trees and a broken fountain. Rafi pushed the wheelbarrow behind the fountain and collapsed on the ground, breathing hard. The baby looked at him and giggled again. "You think this is funny?" Rafi panted, but he was smiling too. He couldn't help it. The baby's joy was like sunshine breaking through clouds. Rafi reached into the wheelbarrow and pulled the baby out, setting him on the grass. The little boy immediately grabbed a handful of dirt and tried to put it in his mouth. "No, no, no," Rafi said, gently pulling the baby's hand away. "That's yucky. Don't eat that." The baby looked at him, surprised, then smiled and reached for more dirt. This was going to be harder than Rafi thought. For the next few minutes, Rafi played with the baby, keeping him from eating dirt, making funny faces, letting the little boy grab his fingers and pull. And something amazing happened. Something Rafi hadn't felt in a very long time. He felt happy. Not just a little bit happy. Really, truly happy. Like his heart was full instead of empty. Like he mattered. Like he was good at something. Protecting this baby, making him smile, keeping him safe. The baby crawled into Rafi's lap and rested his head against Rafi's chest, tired from all the excitement. Rafi wrapped his arms around him gently. I got you, little guy, Rafi whispered. I promise. But promises are hard to keep when the whole world is against you. There he is. Rafi's blood turned to ice. He looked up and saw a man running toward them, a big man in a black uniform with a walkie-talkie in his hand, a security guard. Stop right there, boy. Put the baby down. Rafi jumped to his feet, clutching the baby tight. His mind screamed at him to run, but his legs felt frozen. The guard was getting closer. His face was red and angry. I said, put him down. You kidnapped that child. No, Rafi shouted back, finding his voice. I didn't. I found him. He was alone. Likely story, the guard growled. Street rats like you're all the same. Thieves and liars. Those words hit Rafi like a punch. Street rat, thief, liar. He'd heard those words his whole life. From shopkeepers, from police, from people who looked at him like he was garbage. But he wasn't a thief. Not this time. He was trying to help. The guard lunged forward, reaching for the baby. But the baby screamed and held on to Rafi tighter, burying his face in Rafi's neck. The baby didn't want to go with the guard. He wanted to stay with Rafi. That gave Rafi courage. No, Rafi said again, louder this time. He took a step back. You're scaring him. He doesn't know you. And he knows you, the guard snapped. Give me the child. Now, or I'll call the police and have you arrested. Rafi's heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst out his chest. Everything in him wanted to run, but he couldn't, not with the baby in his arms, not when the baby needed him. So Rafi stood his ground. I found him in an alley, Rafi said, his voice shaking but steady. He was crying and alone. I didn't steal him. I'm trying to keep him safe. The guard didn't believe him. Rafi could see it in his eyes. Sure you were, the guard said. That's what they all say. He reached for his walkie-talkie. I'm calling the police. You're done, kid. Rafi felt tears burning in his eyes, but he blinked them back. He wouldn't cry. Not now. Then a voice cut through the tension like a knife. Wait. Both Rafi and the guard turned. A black car with shiny wheels had pulled up the curb. The door opened, and a man stepped out. A man in an expensive suit with polished shoes and a gold watch that glinted in the sun. He looked rich. Really rich. The kind of rich that makes people straighten up and pay attention. But right now, his face was twisted with fear and anger. That's my son, the man said, his voice shaking. That's my baby. Rafi's stomach dropped. This was the baby's father, the millionaire, and he looked like he wanted to destroy Rafi. The guard immediately changed his attitude. Sir, I caught this street kid trying to kidnap your son. Don't worry, I'll handle him. The millionaire's eyes locked on Rafi, cold and hard as stones. You, he said, taking a step forward. You took my son. Rafi's mouth went dry. He wanted to explain, wanted to tell the truth, but the words got stuck in his throat. The baby, still in Rafi's arms, turned to look at the man. For a moment, Rafi thought the baby would reach for his father, would want to go home. But he didn't. The baby looked at the millionaire, then looked back at Rafi, and then, in the clearest gesture a 1-year-old could make, the baby wrapped his little arms tighter around Rafi's neck and held on. He didn't want to leave Rafi. The millionaire's face changed. The anger flickered. Something else appeared in his eyes. Confusion, maybe, or shock. Give me my son, he said quietly. But there was a crack in his voice now. Rafi swallowed hard. He looked down at the baby, whose eyes were getting heavy with sleep, whose trust in Rafi was absolute. And Rafi knew what he had to do. Slowly, carefully, he took a step toward the millionaire. Rafi took another step toward the millionaire. His legs felt like they were made of stone. Each step was the hardest thing he'd ever done. The baby was warm in his arms. Trust and sleep mixed together in his little body. That's right, the guard said from behind him. Hand over the child, and maybe we'll go easy on you. But Rafi wasn't thinking about the guard anymore. He was looking at the millionaire's face, really looking at it. The man's eyes were red, like he'd been crying. His fancy suit had wrinkles in it. His hands were shaking. This wasn't just an angry rich man. This was a father who thought he'd lost his son. Rafi stopped a few feet away. "I didn't steal him," Rafi said quietly. "I found him in an alley, behind some boxes. He was crying and alone. I didn't know what else to do." The millionaire stared at him. His jaw was tight. His fists were clenched. But he didn't say anything yet. "I was scared to go to police," Rafi continued, his voice cracking. "Because I'm just a street kid. Nobody believes street kids. They always think we're lying or stealing. But I wasn't. I just wanted to keep him safe until I could find his family." A tear rolled down Rafi's cheek. He couldn't stop it. "I'm sorry," Rafi whispered. "I'm sorry you were scared. I would never hurt him. I promise." For a long moment, nobody moved. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. Then the millionaire spoke, and his voice was softer than before. "What's your name?" Rafi blinked, surprised by the question. "Rafi, sir." "Rafi," the millionaire repeated. He took a breath. "My name is Mr. Hassan, and that's my son, Amir." Rafi looked down at the sleeping baby, at Amir, and felt his heart squeeze. "He's beautiful," Rafi said. "He's really brave, too. He stopped crying when I held him. He even laughed when we were running." Mr. Hassan's face did something strange. The hardness cracked, just a little. His eyes got shiny with tears. "Running?" he asked. "From the lady who saw us," Rafi explained. "And then we came here to the park. He tried to eat dirt, but I stopped him." Rafi gave a small, sad smile. "He's really strong for a little guy." Mr. Hassan stepped closer. He was right in front of Rafi now, close enough to take a mirror if he wanted. But he didn't reach for him yet. Instead, he looked at his son, really looked at him, at the dirt smudges on his fancy white clothes, at the peaceful expression on his sleeping face, at the way his tiny fingers were wrapped around Rafi's torn shirt. "He was kidnapped," Mr. Hassan said, his voice tight with pain. "This morning, from our garden. My guards were searching everywhere. I thought I'd lost him forever." Rafi's eyes went wide. "Someone stole him?" "Yes. They left a note demanding money, but no instructions on where to bring it." Mr. Hassan's hands curled into fists. "They must have panicked and abandoned him, left him in that alley like garbage." Anger flashed across his face, hot and fierce. But then he looked at Rafi again, and the anger softened into something else. "But you found him," Mr. Hassan said quietly. "You could have ignored him. You could have kept walking. You could have—" He paused. "You could have demanded money from me, held him for ransom. But you didn't." "I would never," Rafi said quickly. "He's just a baby. He needed help." "You're just a child, too," Mr. Hassan said. "You're what? 7? 8. 8, Rafi confirmed. 8 years old, Mr. Hassan repeated, shaking his head slowly. "And you protected my son. You put yourself in danger. You risked being arrested. All for a baby you didn't even know." The guard cleared his throat behind them. "Sir, we should get you and the boy home. And we need to deal with this street kid." "No," Mr. Hassan said sharply, cutting him off. His eyes never left Rafi. "No, we don't need to deal with him." The guard looked confused. "But, sir—" "This boy saved my son's life," Mr. Hassan said, his voice strong and clear. "While my expensive guard were running around the city, while I was shouting at police officers, this 8-year-old child did what nobody else could. He heard my son crying, and he helped." Mr. Hassan reached out slowly, carefully, and gently took Amir from Rafi's arms. The baby stirred a little, but didn't wake up. He settled against his father's chest with a soft sigh. Mr. Hassan's face crumpled. He held his son tight, closing his eyes, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you, Rafi." Rafi didn't know what to say. His arms felt empty without the baby. His heart felt strange, happy and sad at the same time. "You're welcome, sir," Rafi said quietly. He turned to go, figuring his job was done. The baby was safe. That was all that mattered. "Wait." Rafi stopped. Mr. Hassan wiped his eyes with one hand, still holding Amir with the other. When he looked at Rafi again, there was something new in his expression, something that made Rafi's breath catch. "Where do you live, Rafi?" Mr. Hassan asked. Rafi looked down at his bare feet. "I don't really. I sleep wherever I can. Sometimes behind the market, sometimes in doorways, wherever it's safe." "And your family?" "I don't have one, sir. They're gone." The words hurt to say out loud. They always did. Mr. Hassan was quiet for a moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone. The guard, Rafi, probably even himself. He knelt down, right there on the dusty ground in his expensive suit. He knelt so he was eye level with Rafi. "Rafi," he said gently, "you saved my son. You gave me back the most precious thing in my life. I can never repay that, but I want to try." Rafi's heart started beating faster. "You don't have to give me money, sir. I didn't do it for—" "I'm not talking about money," Mr. Hassan interrupted. "I'm talking about something more important." He paused, then said words that changed Rafi's world forever. "I'm talking about a home." Rafi's breath stopped. "What?" "Come live with us," Mr. Hassan said. "In our house. You'll have your own room, food every day, clean clothes. You'll go to school. You'll have a family." His voice got thick with emotion. "Amir clearly trusts you. Maybe he needs you. And maybe you need us too." Rafi couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to street kids. They just didn't. But I'm nobody," Rafi stammered. "I'm just a dirty kid from the streets. I don't know how to live in a big house. I don't know how to—" "You know how to be brave," Mr. Hassan said firmly. "You know how to be kind. You know how to protect someone weaker than you. Those are the things that matter, Rafi. Not where you came from, not what you're wearing, but who you are inside." He reached out and put a hand on Rafi's shoulder. Gentle, warm, real. "You have a good heart, son. And if you'll let me, I'd like to give you a chance to use it in a place where you're safe, where you're valued, where you belong." The word belong broke something open inside Rafi. All the years of being invisible, of being pushed away, of sleeping hungry and cold and alone, all of it rushed up at once. And Rafi started to cry. Not quiet tears. Big, gulping sobs that shook his whole body. Years of pain pouring out. Mr. Hassan pulled him close, careful not to squish Amir between them, and let Rafi cry into his shoulder. "It's okay," Mr. Hassan said softly. "It's okay now. You're not alone anymore. You're not invisible. I see you, Rafi. I see you." Behind them, even the tough security guard had to look away and wipe his eyes. After a while, Rafi's sobs quieted. He pulled back, embarrassed, wiping his face with his dirty hands. "Sorry," he mumbled. "Don't be," Mr. Hassan said with a kind smile. Those were brave tears, healing tears. He stood up, adjusting Amir in his arms. "So what do you say, Rafi? Will you come home with us?" Rafi looked at Mr. Hassan, then at baby Amir, who was waking up now, blinking sleepy eyes. The baby saw Rafi and immediately reached out his little arms, making grabbing motions. He wanted Rafi. And Rafi realized something beautiful. He wanted them too. "Yes," Rafi whispered. Then louder, "Yes, sir. I'll come home." Mr. Hassan's smile was brighter than the sun. "Good," he said. "Then let's go. Our family is waiting." Our family. Rafi tested the words in his mind, and they felt like magic, like a door opening, like a new story beginning. As they walked toward the shiny black car, Mr. Hassan, baby Amir, and Rafi, something impossible happened. Rafi felt hope, real hope, the kind that makes you believe tomorrow might be better than today, the kind that makes you think maybe, just maybe, you matter. They got into the car. It was cool inside, with soft seats that Rafi was afraid to touch with his dirty hands. But Mr. Hassan didn't care about that. He buckled Amir into a special seat, then made sure Rafi was comfortable too. As the car pulled away from the park, Rafi looked out the window at the streets he'd walked his whole life, the streets that had been his whole world. They looked different now, smaller somehow, because Rafi's world had just gotten so much bigger. Baby Amir reached across the seat and grabbed Rafi's finger. holding on tight. Rafi squeezed back gently. "Thank you," Rafi whispered to the baby. "Thank you for trusting me." Amir giggled like he understood, and maybe he did, because sometimes trust is the bridge between two worlds. Sometimes one moment of kindness can change everything. Sometimes a street kid and a millionaire son can show the whole world what really matters: love, courage, and the simple choice to help when someone needs you. As the car drove toward Rafi's new life, he smiled, really smiled, for the first time in years. The alley where this all started was far behind them now, but it would never be forgotten, because that alley wasn't just a place of garbage and shadows anymore. It was a place where two lives collided and created something beautiful. It was a place where everything changed. Did this story touch your heart? If Rafi's courage and Mr. Hassan's compassion moved you, share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below about which moment hit you hardest. Subscribe for more stories that dig deep into human spirit. Stories of hope, transformation, and the incredible power of choosing kindness when the world expects nothing. Remember, you don't need to be rich or powerful to change a life. Sometimes all it takes is seeing someone when everyone else looks away. Thank you for reading. Hit that share button, and let's spread this message of hope together.